Greetings all, and welcome to Esoteric Babble. Today, we begin an exploration of Apollodorus The Library, which is a 1st or 2nd century of the Common Era collection or compendium of ancient Greek myths. This is part of the super simple, low-tech introduction to ancient and Koine/New Testament Greek. The expectation here is that you know how to pronounce Greek words, and that maybe you've made it through some of that playlist. Perhaps you're somewhat familiar with how nouns and verbs work in a very general way, and that would be enough. I want to say one thing, like why study this text? First of all, the Greek is pretty straightforward. I would not say this is that the Greek is very complex. It's not like reading Philo, and we're going to do that as well. But it is classical style Greek, so it's good if you're wanting to read more of Attic Greek, perhaps. That will seem more familiar than, say, if you only study New Testament Greek. I'd say this is a better way into that. Secondly, it is just one of my beliefs is that our world is far, far too literal. And I would say not only non-poetic, but anti-poetic these days. I think a war on viewing the world as anything but a prosaic user's manual akin to putting together a desk, that there's been a war on any sort of other outlook that sees levels to that detects different levels of meaning in any sort of literature, prose or poetic. So, or prose or poetry. So that is my hope, is that we can seed the world with people who are who have this poetic understanding of existence. So here we go. We're just going to cover this little sentence here, and we'll read through it, we'll translate it, and then we will talk just a little bit more about it. Οὐρανός, πρῶτος του παντός, ἐδυνάστευσε κόσμου. Sky was the first to rule over the entire world. I don't think we have to, should we italicize it? Why not? We'll make it even stand out a little bit more. So let's go in order here. Οὐρανός, this is the word for sky, and you'll find this in the New Testament quite a bit. Basileia tu ουρανού, perhaps, the kingdom of heaven, or sometimes uranon, of the heavens, ton uranon. It does mean sky. Here it is personified. This is actually the God, the being. And as such, we could be forgiven if we just used the name. This sound here, when it was taken over into, say, Latin, sometimes it would just be done like that. And in Latin, this os ending was us. So like their masculine kind of equivalent case ended like this. So I think we're all pretty familiar with this word. It is, of course, the name of the 7th planet. I think the only planet with the only of the 8 planets, not 9, of the 8 planets, the only one with a Greek name. We tend to say Uranus, which is the butt of many jokes, but we could just as well say Uranus and avoid that. But this is the name of the sky god. But sky god, we could keep it sky and actually just capitalize it and use that. Sky. Sky. Now, this prаўτος which gives us a word like proton, it is really more of an adjective. You could expect this to be in the accusative case, prōton, which might mean something like firstly. Here, it's more like Οὐρανός πρῶτος theos, like Οὐρανός, first God, was the first God. It's something like that. And then we will go on here. I want to just mention this little stylistic feature that we have this verb, and notice where it's been put. We have these three words here. Sky ruled over not just the world, but the entire world. And just notice where the verb is put. It is put in between the adjective and the noun. I was reading recently how the Greeks probably had a better memory than we do. And I'm certain that was true. They were used to hearing things. They didn't read as much. So for us, it's not a big deal to hunt around and find the words that go together. But it is interesting to think about how they would keep this straight in their mind, and especially when you imagine if they heard a recitation of someone like Philo, the aforementioned Philo, where things get really, can be really kind of far apart. So this word here, ἐδυνάστευσε, if we look kind of at this root here, dina, and we're going to get it later here, a word we're really familiar with, especially if we change this ending to say a C, dynamic or dynamite. This can help us remember this is about power and control and rulership, therefore. This is an aorist tense. We have this what's known as the augment here, this epsilon augment and a sigma infix. Not all aorists have this. This is a first aorist. We don't need to know all of that. We just need to know it's a simple past tense. Of course, this word cosmos, we get into English. Instead of like that, we tend to get not that. And this gives us words like not just cosmos and cosmology, but cosmetics. The Greeks did not think that the world was some random heap of stuff. Sometimes they could say that. I think ta onta or ta panta, like all the things or the things. But this way has an element of interpretation. They looked around. They saw, obviously, some order to the world. Not implying that the world is necessarily good or anything, but that there is order. There's a regularity to the seasons. There's regularity to a span of life and so on and so forth. And this word pan, of course, we get this word a lot. Panoply, maybe. Here, instead of meaning all or every, I think it's better to kind of take it as the entire world. Now, there's a lot that we could say about Οὐρανός, especially I'm going to make a reference to Philo for a third time. If you understand Οὐρανός as standing for nous, or the mind. And we'll get into that later. But for now, I will leave this here, and I will look forward to seeing you all in the next video.